as you go through all of these exercises through the course of the 4 months, you are going to have pain in different parts of your foot. So as long as the pain is not in the injury part, it's just muscles and tendons and joints trying to get back to their normal state. So you would treat them the same way you would treat going to the gym. So if the muscles are sore, you lay off for a couple of days. But if you are having pain in the injury part of your foot, so if you're having injury along the cut that the doctor made, and it feels like an open wound, and inside kind of feels like it's moving around, or it feels like you're walking on fresh cut grass, or that it's crunchy in some way when you're walking around, like you have crackers stuck in your sock, that is the hard callus has broken up. And you still have the soft callus connecting the tissue there, but it's going to take a couple of days for the hard callus to reattach itself together. So take it easy for, say, 3 days, lay off the foot, raise it, same as you did before, and then slowly get back into the exercises that you were doing. So it's a slight delay, but it's kind of important that you get those feelings in the foot, because the bashing of the bone really helps the bone actually grow stronger. So you are going to try to injure the foot a little bit so that it reacts and grows harder and grows stronger. So that is an extra little note for all you guys as you're going along, just to keep monitoring. Don't push yourself too hard, because re-injuring takes longer than going at a turtle's pace or a slow pace to get up and running. It's better to go too slow than too fast. Okay? Exercises for this week. We're advancing a little bit more. We sit like this. What I was doing was to start off with just taking my crutch and hanging my head on it like this. My weight's a little bit forward, but it's evenly spaced. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. It'll take a little bit of weight off of your feet. But if you feel strong, then you can put your hands on your knees, or you can put your hands on the side of the bed, either way. And then you're just doing leg lifts like this, up on your toes, just to put a little bit of pressure on the toes. And you do this, I was doing this 30 times, up and down like this. And then after that, I rock my heels down, and I'm doing toe raises. So my toes are going up and down like that. And I do that also between 20 and 30 times. And then I do these little heel slams, which is kind of like you're nervous, so your legs are kind of jittering. So then I'm just kind of lightly tapping my heels on the ground, just doing this little bang, 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 bang. Nothing really heavy, so that I'm not damaging anything, but I am giving the bones a little bit of impact so that they get used to that. So when I start walking again, it's not going to be a complete shock, because after not walking for a long time, that impact on the heel is going to feel like electric bolts going up your leg, and sharp knives, or however you want to put it, but it feels really bizarre. After walking for a while, the swelling under the big toe, the swelling under the pad here between the big toe and the second toe has shrunk a lot. So walking does reduce the swelling a bunch. So, and I'm still doing the fists with the toes. So trying to make sure that my toes are still working properly, that they're all gripping at the same time. I do them next to each other like this, so I can see how my broken foot is doing in relation to my good foot. And that way it makes it real simple to see how my flexibility is in both feet. Because obviously when I do this, there's a little bit more flexibility here than in here, but I'm not super flexible with my toes to begin with, so it's not that big of a deal. So this week I've also progressed to walking with just the one crutch. and I put it under the opposite arm. So I have the injured foot and the opposite arm, and so I'm putting them both down at the exact same time to balance the weight between the two. So I have 50% weight here and 50% on the crutch, and so I walk with those two and then my good leg. So I'm up to 50% with this, and hopefully next week I can just be a little bit lighter on this side, a little bit more heavy on the other side, and slowly get up to 100% with the broken leg, or broken foot actually. Another good exercise, well, it's not really an exercise, but it is something to do to strengthen your legs, is just stand balanced so that your body is in the middle of both your legs, your weight is centered. And what I have is my app, my boxing app. So I set it for 5 minutes and it goes bing, 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 bing. So I can stand here and play video games on the TV, do what I want to do. And then sit down for, there's a cat here, sit down for 5 minutes, again with your feet flat on the ground, and do that for 5 minutes, and then stand up and do this for 5 minutes. By doing this, you're building up the strength in your tendons, because it only takes about maybe 10-15 minutes of doing that, and your heels will start to hurt and the palms of your feet will start to hurt. But it does allow for the toes to spread, it does allow for the swelling to be reduced. Also, when you switch over to one crutch, when you make your transition from 2 crutches to 1 crutch to no crutches, don't run through it. Don't go through it really fast and just try to get back to running and sprinting and jumping. You're just going to hurt yourself. So when you're doing your 2 crutches and your 1 leg all at the same time, continue doing that outside. But when you're inside your house, practice with the 1 crutch, doing the 1 crutch motion. And then after you get comfortable with doing that a lot in-house, do it for short distances outside, and then do it for longer distances. Don't just say, okay, well today is 1 crutch day, and then take a 3-mile walk. You'll end up injuring yourself. Your foot is not used to getting that kind of damage on a regular basis. Also, you'll notice that when you are using your 1 crutch, what's going to happen is you're going to end up being like this. So you'll be this triangle that's going like this all the time when you start off. And what will happen is on the inside of your foot, the swelling will go down, but on the pinky side, the swelling will go up because all your weight is on that inside of your foot. You'll eventually have to get that balance to come back again. So it's difficult to do that when you have the other crutch. So even though you are mainly doing this, you should switch back to doing the double crutch so that your weight is more centered on that foot and your foot is getting the proper sort of pressure over the entire foot. You don't want to build up all of the bone and the structure and the muscle just on the inside of your foot, because as soon as you lose this crutch and you start walking, you're just going to re-injure yourself again. So don't run through it. Flip back and forth. Do the harder exercises inside your house or inside your work, and do the easier ones outside until you get up and running. This is week 10, and you can see that this is the good foot. Nice cat. No lift. And this is the injured foot and a cat. Okay. And this is the injured foot. So you can see without any flexing of the toes or anything, there's no swelling, there's no rising of the toes off the ground here. So week 10 is about a good marker for having your foot back to almost normal. And hey cat, you can see the coloration on the feet is almost the same. I've been sitting like this for probably a good 10-15 minutes, and this foot is almost the same color as the other foot. So this exercise might sound a little simple, but you haven't been using your bad foot, your injured foot, for some time, so it may be a little bit more difficult to do than it sounds. So you start with your weight balanced between your 2 feet, and then all you're going to do is just lift your foot for 1 to 3 seconds, depending on how long you can hold that balance and how much you can take. So all you're going to do is just go back and forth like this to start with, and then as you build up, you're going to hold that position for a longer period of time. Now obviously this is my good foot, so I can hold this for quite some time. But my bad foot is still a little wobbly, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But you are building up those muscles again, so you have to give it some time. So this is a really good exercise for just getting started and letting those joints build up, letting the muscles build up, letting the tendons build up, letting your balance get back to the way it used to be. So this, nice and solid. This, not so solid. So it does take a little bit of time. So try for 3 seconds on each foot and see how that goes.